everybody, so today I'm at the long arm and I am quilting this antique steeplechase. I have gotten out a vintage quilt top that I picked up for a little bit of nothing. I now know why it was a little bit of nothing. I'm trying to press this. This smells like wet dog, and I found urine smell on this, so after I get it quilted, it's going to get washed. The bias on this is odd. So if you look at the grain of fabric, this part does not stretch, but all of this does. And so when I'm trying to press this, it wants to do weird things. So I'm starching this right now, and I'm gonna quilt out the fullness. I'll use lots of starch. This is all hand sewn, oddly enough, with gray thread, or it could be oxidized thread. And then some of these are sewn with a sewing machine, so 2 different people worked on this. And I could tell that by the seam allowance. One person knew what they were doing. The person that picked it up may not have known what they were doing. But I'm trying to get this pressed to get it loaded on the long arm to see how this quilts up. So after ironing this spot, this is just really wonky. It looks like they just use scraps, and so because everything's willy-nilly, nothing's on the bias, and so it really plays with the movement of fabric. You can see how thick that seam is under there. Okay, this is officially ironed, and half of the quilt was not as bad as the other half. This block is just totally wonky. This block right here is just totally wonky. But I will quilt it out. This is doable. It will have a lot of fullness. Pressing this, I can tell the original sizing was in the fabric. My hands are actually sticky. I did use conventional starch of today. I really want to give this quilt the respect it deserves, even though it smells like urine and wet dog, because that will wash out and it will need a good soak after I get it quilted. I am ready and I am excited to get this loaded. So today I'm at the long arm and I am quilting some spirals on each one of the blocks, traveling to the next block and then breaking thread. I have lots of puckers in this. Got fullness and no spray starch, no water, nothing's gonna take this out. So if you come across a quilt that just is wonky, like this one, you're gonna quilt it, and then this will probably be a problem to where I can bring it up, and then I will just stitch this down with the machine, and it will bring out the fullness in this block. When I get down to this block, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. As you can see here, this has got a wavy edge, and the best way to take care of that, there's no bias. It's almost like it's on the moon on that one, but I will take it in right here. And once I get this quilted, it will take a lot of the fullness out. So I'm letting the fullness pool, and then I'm gonna go back and quilt over the pooling to get rid of it. And believe it or not, because this has got so much pooling, it actually is puffing better than something you have ironed flat and ironed the dickens out of. So I'm actually impressed with this. As many directions as the biases and the straight of grain is going, it's actually quilting up pretty good. Okay, so I have done the small swirls, and then I've come back and done the big swirls. And obviously when I cross over, it puckers. And I could have probably taken my time, but there was just a couple spots on this that are just so bad that no matter how much time I take, there's no fixing it. But the good news is this quilt will be finished with or without puckers, and it will be totally usable. For those of you who have problems with puckers, puckers are okay. It's not like you are gonna be entering it into the show and everyone's gonna run you down for the puckers. If you are giving a quilt as a gift, no one, especially if they're not a quilter, is gonna even notice a pucker. This has got fabrics that were not on the bias correctly, and if you can see my edge all the way around this, it is just all kinds of wonky. I have done my best to try and prevent puckers. Puckers did happen. A couple of these blocks were significant. I highly recommend that if you have a quilt that you know is going to pucker at the long arm, that you don't densely quilt it, nor do you cross over your quilting lines you've already done. If I would not have done that, this would have quilted up fine. But I'm going back in and reinforcing areas like this right here. This area right here doesn't have any quilting in it, and I'm going to make a spiral and come out, and I want to make sure that I catch everything. And as you can see here, this was a problematic area, so I will have a review for you shortly. Okay, I know one thing, this quilt is nasty, and the first thing I'm gonna do after I get done is go take a shower. Oh.